Okay, so this week you guys got to work with C notes and do C notes, and most of the time in class we would go over some of your questions, but I'm not there, and you guys aren't working per se in labs right now. So I wanted to answer some of your questions because you guys did a great job on your C notes, and I'm really proud of you and extremely excited to see that you guys are asking questions on C notes. So I want to answer them. I don't want you to think that they're getting ignored because they are an important part. So I'm just going to kind of go through these questions that you see, and I'll post it on a HiQ website so you can watch it if you want. So the first question is why don't we get to eat in lab? Okay. Um, so imagine that you're working with some kind of chemical or something in lab, and while you're working with that, let's just say we don't use a whole lot of dangerous chemicals in 3rd and 4th grade. So let's just say we're working with vinegar, and you're working with vinegar and you are eating your snack. If you get vinegar on your fingers and you're eating your snack, then you ingest it into your body, which wouldn't kill you, but it's not going to taste very good and it's not very safe. So that's why you can't eat in a lab, especially when you get older and you're working with dangerous chemicals. You don't want to ingest, which means eat or go into your body, any dangerous chemicals. Do we have to wear goggles in every lab? No, you do not have to wear goggles in every lab. You wear goggles when you're doing something that'll splash in your eyes, or you something that might break, and like if you're shaving pencil or if you're shaving wood or something like that, you'll want to wear goggles. Anything that could splash in your eye, anytime you're dealing with glass, anytime you're dealing with heat. But a lab does not mean you're dealing with only chemicals. That's not just a science lab. That's what you usually consider it. But let's say any activity you do in your science class where you are dealing with materials and you're going through a process, that's a lab. So when you guys did the activity with the basketball and the other balls to represent the moon and the earth, that's technically a lab. Are swim shoes no-toed shoes? A no-toed shoe is something where your toes are exposed. So if you have swim shoes where your toes are exposed, then it's a no-toed shoes. If you have swim shoes where the toes are closed, like your toes are covered up and I can't see your toes, then those are considered toed shoes. Do we read instructions every time? Yes, you need to read your lab sheet every time before a lab. And I will have you read it silently. I'll have you read it with your partner. And that way you guys kind of know what's going on in the lab so you don't get halfway through the lab and realize you missed a step. A lot of times if we're doing a lab that's kind of hard, then you'll do it the night before. You'll read it the night before, then you'll come in and we'll look over it again. Can you smell the chemicals sometimes? You can almost always smell the chemicals, but the difference is you don't want to sniff them. So let's say I have a cup, and if I'm going to smell and see if there's an odor, if I put it over my face like this and go, well, if there is a harmful odor, it's going to go in your nose. And you know, sometimes when you smell strong odors, it makes your eyes water, it burns your nose. Well, that's dangerous. So you would take the cup and you can do like this and you can still smell it and it's not dangerous. What days are lab? When is lab? And when are we going to start doing lab? Those are all questions some of you had. Whenever we're doing workshops, we're almost always doing a lab in science. So there aren't specific days. And you guys have already started doing labs. It's just not what you are used to seeing in a science lab. You're not working with chemicals and all of that. Are we going to make it dangerous? No, because while dangerous sounds fun, it's called dangerous because if something happens, then you could get hurt. So when you get hurt, it's no longer fun. How do you wear goggles? The first time that we do a lab where you need goggles, then we'll discuss how to wear them properly, when to wear them, when you can take them off, what to do with them when you get done. We'll go through all of those steps the first time you need to wear goggles. When will we start chemistry? In 3rd and 4th grade, we don't do chemistry where you're mixing chemicals together, but we do talk about matter, and that is a part of chemistry, and we talk about physical properties, and that's a part of chemistry, and that'll start at the beginning of the second 9 weeks. So I believe that's in the middle of October sometime. What does a science lab look like? A science lab looks like a lot of things. If you're working with chemicals, then you've got beakers and all kinds of equipment that you're working with, or it can just be our classroom set up for a lab with materials set up, and then you'll have a lab instruction sheet, and you'll have questions to answer, but that's basically what a science lab looks like. And then who is a famous scientist? There are lots of famous scientists, and just to show you an example, if I Google famous scientists, this is what comes up. So you can see that these are just some of the famous scientists. If for extra credit, if you want to pick one of these famous scientists and write a little summary of what he's done, then I will put your work up on my website to display that scientist, and we'll put your name with it and all of that. So you can do that for extra credit if you're interested in that. Just let me know and email me your information, and I will start showcasing you on our Haiku website. Okay, so hopefully that answered all of your questions over lab safety. I will, either Ms. Kaiser or I will also answer your questions that you have for any of your other C notes. If for some reason it doesn't get answered, then make sure you get it on the need to know board so that we can make sure it does get answered. Okay? You guys have a good weekend.